I found the receipt in his jacket pocket. A five-star hotel in Philadelphia, 2 nights, booked under his name, but with a woman's perfume still fresh on the collar. I stared at it like it might change if I blinked hard enough. When he walked through the door, smiling like he had just conquered the world, I held it out to him without saying a word. He looked at me, then at the receipt, and shrugged. If you paid more attention to me, maybe I would not need to go elsewhere. That was it. No apology. No denial. Just that icy, gut-wrenching sentence. As if I had invited this. As if being a mother, a wife, and trying to survive under his rules made me responsible for his betrayal. My hands were shaking. Not from heartbreak. From rage. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the years of silence and submission, a voice whispered, "What if he is wrong?" Before I continue, I want to say a massive thank you to all our subscribers. If you are new or have been watching but have not yet subscribed, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. It is what fuels this channel and keeps us going. And do not forget to share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Now let me take you back to where it really began. My name is Dana. I am 34 years old, born and raised in Delaware. I used to be the kind of woman who apologized when someone bumped into her. The kind of woman who mistook control for love. Virgil was 10 years older than me. Charismatic, successful, always dressed like he walked out of a business magazine. He owned a few small companies and made sure everyone knew it. When we met, he called me his quiet muse. He said I had the kind of face that made men behave better. I mistook those lines for romance. After our daughter, Ava, was born, I left my part-time job to be a full-time mom. Virgil insisted it was what real women did. He said I was lucky to have a man like him, one who could take care of everything. That was his favorite phrase. I will take care of everything. Except I did not notice what he was really doing. Every dollar passed through him. He gave me just enough to survive, but never enough to leave. He would laugh when I talked about baking, my dream. "You are too soft for the business world," he once said. "You would not last a week." At first, I believed him. Every insult was dressed like concern. Every doubt wrapped in a smile. When I asked about going back to school, he scoffed and said, "For what? So you can waste our money on a hobby you will never finish?" It was not just money he controlled. He monitored my calls. Questioned every outing. Slowly, I stopped reaching out to friends. I started dressing how he liked, cooking what he wanted, laughing when I did not want to. Ava was the only piece of myself I felt was still mine. And every time I pushed back, even a little, he would twist it. "You are nothing without me, Dana," he said once after a fight. "You would be living in a shelter with that baby if I walked out." I remember standing in our hallway, hearing those words echo inside my chest like a funeral bell. But it was that hotel receipt that finally snapped something in me. He cheated. And still, somehow, he blamed me. I wanted to scream. But I had been silent for so long, I forgot how. That night, after Ava fell asleep, I sat on the bathroom floor with the door locked. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. Puffy eyes, hollow cheeks, a stranger. I whispered to myself, maybe he is wrong. Maybe I am not nothing. And for the first time in years, I started to believe it. The morning after I found the receipt, I made Virgil his usual breakfast, eggs over easy, rye toast, black coffee. I said nothing. I smiled. I even kissed his cheek as he left for work. Because I knew if I reacted too soon, he would crush it. Whatever small voice had started to rise in me, he would kill it before it grew legs. So I waited. And when the door closed behind him, I opened my laptop for the first time in weeks. I searched for local bakeries hiring part-time. It felt silly, like a teenage fantasy. I had not worked in years. My resume was empty, my confidence even worse. But I sent out 3 applications anyway, using a new email he did not know existed. 2 days later, a small family bakery called Mary's Crumbs replied. They needed someone to wash dishes and prep batter. The pay was low, but I said yes. I told Virgil I was volunteering at Ava's preschool once a week. It was the only lie I ever told him, and it felt good. I was terrified. That first day, I almost backed out. But when I walked into that bakery, the smell of fresh cinnamon and yeast hit me like a childhood memory. The owner, Mary, was a short woman with flour on her shirt and no time for nonsense. She showed me how to pipe icing with the firmness of a drill sergeant. She never asked about my past. She just said, "Watch. Learn." I stayed late to practice when I could. I watched online tutorials at night. I scribbled recipes in a notebook and hid it under my mattress. At home, I was still the obedient wife. I made dinner, folded laundry, smiled on cue. But something had shifted. I had a secret now. And secrets, I learned, can be powerful things, especially for women who have been told they are not allowed to have any. Virgil did not notice the change. He was too busy working late and texting women who were not me. Then came Ava's 6th birthday. I baked her a unicorn cake using what Mary had taught me. It was not perfect, but the look on Ava's face, it lit something inside me. I posted a picture of it in a local Facebook mom group. The next morning, I had 6 messages asking if I could make cakes for their kids. I froze. I had no business license, no equipment, no clue, but I said yes. That week, I made 4 cakes out of my tiny kitchen. I worked at the bakery during the day, baked at night, and slept maybe 4 hours total. Virgil never noticed. He just complained the house smelled too sweet. By the end of that month, I had made almost $400 in cake orders. Cash. Mine. And for the first time since Ava was born, I bought myself something small. A second-hand stand mixer. Red. Loud. Beautiful. But then, Virgil found the receipt. He stormed into the kitchen waving it in the air like evidence from a crime scene. What the hell is this, Dana? A mixer? With what money? Who are you talking to? I stood frozen. My heart raced. I was sure it was over, that he would tear it all down, that he would scream, threaten, lock me in with his words like he always did. Instead, I looked him in the eye and said, "It is mine." Just that. He stared at me. For the first time in years, he was speechless. Then he scoffed, rolled his eyes, and walked away. But I saw it. A crack. A tiny fracture in his control. And that night, as I washed batter off my hands, I whispered, "I am not nothing. I am becoming something." 6 months later, I filed for separation. I was terrified. My hands trembled signing the papers. Not because I still loved him. That was long gone. But because I did not know what came next. I had no safety net. No rich parents. No secret savings. Just a mixer, a folder full of cake orders, and a daughter who needed me to be strong, even when I felt like falling apart. Virgil was furious. He laughed when he got the papers, called me dramatic, said I would come crawling back once reality hit. "You have no idea how hard it is out there, Dana. Do not come crying when the world eats you alive." But the world did not eat me. It fed me. When I moved out, Ava and I rented a tiny 2-bedroom above a pawn shop. The kitchen barely fit the oven, and I had to stack cake boxes on an old bookshelf. I worked every hour I could, baking nights, delivering orders during the day, helping Ava with homework in between. Sleep became a luxury. But freedom? Freedom was intoxicating. I kept working at Mary's Crumbs until one day, she sat me down with tears in her eyes and said, Dana, I love you, but I think it is time for you to fly. That was the push I needed. I registered my own business, Ava Bakes, named after the little girl who unknowingly saved my life. I baked for birthday parties, then weddings, then corporate events. Word spread fast. I share my story on social media, just enough to let women know this was not just cake. It was survival in frosting. Virgil tried to fight me for full custody, said I was unstable, unfit, unpredictable. But the court saw through him. I showed up prepared, with character letters, proof of income, and a quiet confidence he no longer recognized. The judge awarded me full physical custody, supervised visitation for him. He stared at me like I was a stranger, because I was. The woman he once controlled, silenced, insulted, was gone. In her place stood someone who knew her worth, who paid her own bills, who baked through trauma and turned pain into a paycheck. 3 years later, I opened my storefront. The ribbon cutting felt like a second birth. My name on the window, Ava's picture framed behind the counter, the smell of vanilla and cinnamon spilling into the street. Virgil showed up once. He stood outside the glass, watching me serve a line of customers. He did not come in. He just stood there, arms crossed, jaw tight. Maybe he thought I would come out. Maybe he thought I owed him something. I turned my back and got back to work, because I owe him nothing. And that voice in my head, the one that used to whisper, "You are not enough?" It is gone now, replaced with something louder, stronger. You are more. Final thoughts. If you have ever been made to feel like you are nothing without someone, hear me when I say, that is a lie, a weapon, and you can take it apart piece by piece just like I did. Thank you for being here with me through this story. If you felt something, if you saw yourself in any part of it, please comment your thoughts below. I read every single one. Share this with someone who might need it. And subscribe. Your support keeps this channel alive. Until next time, stay strong. And never forget who you are without them.